Good day, everyone. This is John Maria of Project Bond, life coach, study coach, special education teacher, or whatever you want to call me. I'm here to help out middle schoolers, high schoolers, and college students overcome their neurodevelopmental difficulties. And before I begin, I just want to thank you guys, especially those who viewed the first video. We had such a positive reception when it came to that video, and it's just it went beyond anything we could have ever expected. We appreciate all of the reactions, the questions, the comments, and if you have any of those, our request for the second video is just to comment it down below. Comment it on our Facebook page or comment it on our YouTube page because it's something that we would like to really respond to, and so we can get a better feel of what you guys may want also in our future creations. Okay. So with that out of the way, our series for today is just on initiating tasks and sustained attention. This is part of our new normal series, part 2 out of 4. Okay. So before getting into the actual content, I just want to make a few disclaimers. First and foremost, yes, this is for teens and young adults primarily. Although we've heard that when it comes to the issue of initiating tasks and sustaining attention in the new normal due to this COVID-19 pandemic, we've heard that a lot of the adults also have this issue when it comes to their work. So maybe some of these things might be useful to you, but this is primarily geared towards students. Okay, so those who will be, particularly in the asynchronous learning methodology or the blended learning methodology in this new normal. Okay, so I guess this goes without saying, but please do tailor fit every single bit of content we have here to your own context. Okay, so you know, just to get a grasp of how important attention really is when it comes to education, a proponent, I would say the first proponent of an independent style learning, and one of the pillars of education is the one of the first Italian doctors, Maria Montessori. If any of you guys are educators or you've gone through the Montessori approach growing up, or you're familiar with the system, you know that Montessori was all about independence. So how do you achieve independence within the context of learning? Well, Montessori said this and frequently reminded her instructors of this quote. She said that when you have solved the problem of controlling the attention of the child, you have solved the entire problem of its education. So, yeah, Maria, I first heard of this quotation when I was studying, when I was teaching rather, in Mayfield Montessori Academy. So I want to shout out to Dr. Chiqui Suarez, who's the directress and owner, who also taught me the Montessori subject when I was taking my MA. And I also want to credit the Ma'am Liwai, who was my assistant principal at the time. Okay, so or a principal for academics, and it was an amazing thing to be part of that. And this is a principle that I wholeheartedly agree with. So if you want to promote independence or the ability to learn during this time of the new normal, we need to be able to manage our attention. Luckily enough, we do have a lot of perspectives nowadays, especially when it comes to people with neurodevelopmental difficulties. We have a lot of frameworks for intervention. My personal favorite and my specialization is executive skills intervention. And specifically my favorite approach was created by Dr. Peg Dawson and Dr. Richard Guare when they wrote this book called Smart But Scattered. What I have here, the cover that you're seeing right now, is the cover for their teens version of that book, Smart But Scattered Teens. In this book, they basically took the studies about ADHD primarily as a matter of executive functioning impairment, all right? And then they classified executive functioning impairment into 11 distinct skills. Two of those skills, or executive skills, we'll be talking about today. The first one is task initiation. Task initiation they defined as the ability to begin projects without undue procrastination in an efficient and timely fashion. And also, they defined sustained attention, the second executive skill that we'll be talking about today, as the capacity to keep paying attention to a situation or task in spite of distractibility, fatigue, or boredom. Let me repeat that. Distractibility, fatigue, or boredom. Does it sound familiar? Absolutely. We definitely face these three issues in a much greater fashion now that we're in the new normal during this COVID-19 pandemic. And I do have some recommendations for you guys. There are many ways to approach this, but the way I like to approach it is just through my three RECs. Okay? REC, or routine, environment, and contract. Let's first start with routine. Okay? I recommend that you keep to at least a ranged schedule. What does it mean when you have a ranged schedule? You see, the brain releases neurotransmitters, okay? And very particular to attention is this neurotransmitter called dopamine. The brain does not release it all the time. It releases it in spurts. And it releases it during a time that either we're getting the reward out of something that out of something, getting a reward out of something. So dopamine is very important in what neurologists call the reward system, but that's for another topic. And another thing would be to facilitate focus. Okay, so you want to be able to predict when your brain releases dopamine, and specifically these combination of chemicals in your brain, in order for you to initiate tasks and sustain attention. And if you do not have a set, at least a ranged set time for waking up, working, and then resting and going to sleep, it will be hard for your brain to predict when to release the optimal amount of dopamine for you to be able to start tasks and to sustain your attention. So, what you want to do is you want to teach your brain productive time and rest time. It's like programming your brain. Okay? So, what does it mean when you have a ranged schedule? So, some people have a strict schedule. I understand that people with neurodevelopmental conditions have a hard time with keeping a very strict routine, so make it a ranged routine. You don't have to get up at 8 a.m. in the morning. You can get up between 8 and 9 in the morning. Or you can get up between 8 and 10 in the morning. Or at least 8 and 10:30 in the morning. And then you can be working from 1 to 3 in the afternoon. Or 1 to 3:30 in the afternoon. Okay? Now, if you're starting with this and it doesn't seem to have an effect, it's okay. Just go on with it, okay, and try to repeat it as much as you can until it becomes a habit. More on this later. But for now, I'd like to focus on the second part, which is environment, particularly preparing your environment. Montessori instructors know about this term called the prepared environment, okay? Montessori instructors understand that when a person is in the right physical environment, they are more prone to facilitating their attention and thereby become productive. Okay? My advice when it comes to preparing your environment is simply this. You have to keep it set apart and you have to keep it away from distractions. The picture that you're seeing here is my actual workspace. It's very small, okay? I deliberately show this to you guys because I live in a 2-bedroom condominium unit with my wife and my 1-year-old daughter. And there's not a lot of space here, okay? I do have some other spaces like in the living room or in the bedroom, which, there are bigger spaces for me to set up maybe a bigger table there. But I do have a problem with those places because in the dining room, there's the couch and there's the TV. That's a distraction and I want to be away from those distractions. Inside the bedroom, there's my bed. So that's also a distraction. You see, in routine, I mentioned about these brain chemicals. Well, here, we want to make sure that we're facilitating these same brain chemicals like dopamine to facilitate our attention, our focus, by putting us in a zone where we can get used to the idea that we're being productive in that specific area. Okay? So as you can see here, just a small table. There's even a mirror there because this is actually where we get dressed as well. There are a stock of boxes there. Okay, I wanna give a shout out to all teachers watching this. Okay, to all tutors in particular. All right, what are these stack of boxes for? Okay, maybe you can educate our viewers. If you don't know, please take a guess. Let us know if you're able to figure it out. Why have those blue stacking boxes, which is actually from a toy assembly of my daughters. So the idea here is that I create a space that I set apart so I can be productive there. Okay? Right now, it's not an option to go to Starbucks. It's not an option to go outside to the library. This is actually the reason why people pay such a huge amount of money to go to Starbucks so that they can be productive there. Why? Because that space is set apart. Okay? But I'd like you to know that if I can do it in such a small space like this, have my book there over on the stool and have a small table over there, and I'm a big guy, I am confident that you guys can make a way too. All right. And finally, the last, if not the most important part of this intervention is C, or contract. So routine, environment, and contract. What you need to do is to be accountable to someone, right? You write it down. What do you write down? Write down the range schedule you'd like to work with. Write down how you're going to prepare your environment, and then print it, post it where it's visible, like your bathroom door or your bedroom door or the wallpaper of your laptop, the wallpaper of your cell phone. So keep it where it's visible, right? So, and you also, another interesting thing I'd like to mention here is you can also put out rewards. There are daily rewards or weekly rewards for keeping to the routine and also keeping your space set apart and working in that space just to help you get into that habit. Okay, I want to remind you guys that change takes patience, so please be kind to yourself. They say it takes 6 weeks to form a habit. My opinion is, and especially in my experience with people with neurodevelopmental conditions, it takes longer than that. Okay, so be kind and be patient to yourself. Okay, so I actually have a link below that contains a sample contract and the template, and I'd like to show it to you guys right here. So this is what it looks like, an accountability contract. All right, so there's a schedule here. You can write this. You can write your range schedule here down. You can you can write down what you're going to be doing with your prepared environment, okay, and how you're going to reward yourself and the people who sign it. So the job of this person, by the way, you're going to be accountable to, is to just monitor you, okay, not to nag you and to put you in a prison. No, okay, parents, if you're doing that, don't nag your teenage sons or daughters with neurodevelopmental conditions. It does not help. Reminder every once in a while would suffice. So holding a person accountable is different from controlling them, okay? So, and of course, the person who should be doing this is primarily you, the person with a neurodevelopmental condition, the teen or the young adult that needs to manage his or her life better, not the parent. You create what you want to be accountable to. And I also have a sample here, which is actually from what I did with a student in the past. Of course, I hid his name here. That's also in the file down below. So you can see the wake up time here is between 8 to 10 a.m. Breakfast is at 9 to 10:30. Yeah, and then the environment will be. I'll just read it to you. It says here, I will work in my mom's office as she also works quietly. I won't be near the drum set or my bed during work time. Okay, because he loves to play the drums. As much as possible, I'll download all needed materials and work offline to avoid distractions. Okay, so Wi-Fi is a distraction, so you can download everything before you start working so that when you start sitting down in your place that's set apart during your schedule time, you already have everything you need to work with. You're not going to be tempted to view other things online, like go to YouTube and things like that. It says here, to help with this, I'll turn off the Wi-Fi when I don't need it. And on this point, I do have another thing to add. A very common problem among people with neurodevelopmental conditions is that they have a very bad schedule and sleeping time, and they try to work everywhere. And what happens is that this also leads to some compulsive behaviors, like over browsing the net, watching YouTube all day, playing video games the whole day. Now, if this is you, maybe you'd want to start with daily rewards first, okay? Just so you can get that reward system in your brain going, okay? So, but if you think you can already handle a schedule like this, then go for the weekly rewards. The important thing here is that you're programming your brain to work at the right time and the right place so that you could maximize your attention and your ability to start tasks. Okay, so that's about all of the content we have for today. So I hope this video helps you, and I hope that we'll see you again next week when we do series 3 out of 4. I know in the first two series I talked about academics, but our series number three is about what is more important than academics. What could those be? I don't think academics are the most important thing in life. So perhaps we can work on those things as well during this new normal in the COVID 19 pandemic. So I hope this helped you. Okay, once again, this is Coach John Maria signing off. God bless you.